Welcome everybody to the Sack Backyard. I started this garden in April of 2020, so exactly 3 years ago to this month. That's when we first bought this house, and I knew that I wanted to start the garden as soon as possible. It was nothing but dirt in this backyard, so I couldn't wait to start. So 3 years ago, this is what the garden looks like. Let's see the results. I started off with fruit trees and plants, but eventually, as I got all the varieties that I wanted, I started to put in ornamental plants and pollinator plants to kind of beautify the garden. Let's start off on this side of the house. This one's a carnation. This is our favorite fresh cut flower because it lasts a long time. Same is true for the plant because it lasted about 2 or 3 months in the winter when it got its last bloom. This one I got from Home Depot. It looks like a carnation, just kind of like, but with more flowers and the structure of it. So I put it here so that it looks good next to the carnation. This one's grown a lot of leafy growth, but it looked like a purple marigold when it was blooming in the fall. This one, I believe, is a salvia, and it's really good for the hummingbirds. They love it. The purple flowers are really booming right now, coming out. So I'm really happy with this one. Very ornamental. Look at it go. And then as we move along, here's a kangaroo paw. I have the red and the pink version. And this one's really coming alive in spring here. You could see all the red flowers popping out. It does open up and a yellow flower is inside. So that's happening on here. This one is opening up with the yellow flowers, as you could see. So it looks good. It's kind of like a fuzzy, kind of weird, unique plant. So that one's pretty cool. Over here I have my citrus hedge, and this one's the Tangelo. 3 years in the ground, so it's just now starting to take off this spring. It has a lot of new growth on it, as you could see. I think I even saw a couple flowers popping out. So I'm hoping to at least try the fruit this year. I haven't got any fruit from it previously, so cross fingers. And this one next to it, it's a clementine, and we got a bunch of clementine mandarins from it last year. So it's already doing good. It's just gonna get bigger, and I'm sure the fruit's gonna be even better. And behind that one, we got our Burrs lime, aka Persian lime. It's been growing a big structure, but it only gave me one single lime all these years it's been here. So I'm hoping this is the year that I get a lot of limes. I do believe I saw a lot of flowers on here, popping up, little tiny ones. And then down here, I spread a pollinator seed mix. So with all the rain that was going. So those seeds kind of filled in the space here, but I'm gonna leave a lot of room for these bushes to grow. And to the left of that is the Bartlett pear tree. I have a graft on here. So these are actually Golden Dorset grafts, and the apples are popping out already. They've been for the past month or two, and there's actually apples setting on here already, even though it didn't really get pollinated by anything else. And here's the flowers for the Bartlett pears. They're all popping out right now, and it's like little bouquets all over the tree. Looks beautiful, doesn't it? And over here in a couple of huge pots, this is where I have my guava trees. One's lemon, one's strawberry. Here's the lemon variety. This one's actually growing more vigorously. As you can see, a lot of the leaves are coming out, and it has a lot of buds too. So I'm expecting a lot of fruit from that one. This one's actually older. This one's a strawberry guava. And it took a lot of heat damage because we had like 116-degree heat days last summer for like a whole week. And I had it out in front in full sun. So a lot of the leaves kind of just shed off. So they're on their way to a recovery now. And they're shaded by the house. So it's the perfect spot right there. And then back in this direction, over here by the Bartlett pear tree, Underneath, there's a black currant. I saw this at Home Depot recently, so I thought it was interesting. Never seen it before. It was just a couple of sticks when I first put it in, and now it has a lot of flowers. So I'm interested to see what those taste like. Over here is the blackberries. This one's a Prime Arc Freedom, and it's definitely the best variety that I have. It just goes all along the fence. Down here is kind of the berry patch. Raspberries, blackberries, all those kind of berries that spread. So here's the flowers on the Primark Freedom. They're just everywhere. It's insane. I'm expecting a lot of blackberries, and the bees are loving it too. Thank you, Mr. B, for the pollination. I appreciate your services. If you're gonna get any variety of blackberry, I suggest the Primark Freedom. The flowers are just insane, and the berries are huge. So I already tried them last year, and I'm expecting them to be a lot better this year. I mean, look at that. It's awesome. And below that, I got a Josta berry. Again, I saw this at Home Depot, so it's very curious to try it out. Put it in, first year in, and look at it go. The growth is tremendous. And around here in the berry patch, I just let it go wild. Raspberries and blackberries, they like to spread, so do give it a lot of room and expect them to spread. I just pull them out if I don't want them, but that's why I try to keep them in an area where they could just go, and it's free berries. So you only have to do anything. It just gets new berries every year for you. Here's a raspberry vine. I pretty much cut it all the way back last year because all the vines were spent, so it's good to cut it back and let it grow fresh for the next year. And within the new growing season, this is all the new growth here. So it's kind of crazy. There wasn't anything here, and now it's just nothing but lush greenness. And here's a baby cakes blackberry bush. I haven't tried the berries from it yet, but I'm expecting to get some this year. I do see some flowers going on. So here's a closer look. They haven't quite opened. I like how some flowers are opening and some are just barely starting to get buds. So that way your harvest is kind of spread out throughout the season instead of everything opening all at once. And then there's the 4-on-1 pluot tree. It's 4 different varieties grafted onto one tree. It's Dapple Dandy, Flavor Supreme, Flavor King, Flavor Queen. So I'm excited to try those this year. I did get to try a couple of varieties. It had a ton of flowers in the springtime, but it opens kind of early. There wasn't a bunch of bees out yet, and we had a ton of rain and wind and storms here in California. So I didn't see it get pollinated too much. A lot of the blooms just kind of die if it doesn't get pollinated. So here's a lot of the blooms. But if it doesn't get pollinated, it'll just fall off. Otherwise, it turns green and it starts to plump up. So this one's actually the cherry tree behind there. That one had a ton of flowers. I have videos from before. This one is a 4-in-1 cherry tree. It's 4 different varieties grafted onto one tree, so that's very cool. It's actually opening all the flowers right now, and I saw a ton of bee activity since the weather is warming up and we're finally getting that California sun. So I do see these ones plumping up with the green and the blooms. And next to that, we have the nectarine trees. It's 2 different trees put in one spot to look like one tree. It's a white nectarine tree and a red nectarine tree. We got a huge harvest off of this last year. So many, I was trying to give them away to the neighbors and family and friends, and more than we could eat. And it was only 2 years old. Now it's going on 3. So I'm expecting a huge harvest. Here's what one of the baby nectarines looks like. It looks like a red one. And over here should be the white one. And here's what that one looks like. And then as we move along over here, we have the apple tree. It's actually a 6-in-1 grafted espalier variety. So the varieties are Fuji, Gala, Macintosh, Summer Red, Yellow Delicious, and Gravenstein. And the flowers are just starting to open up. And the great thing about having multiple varieties grafted onto one tree is you get really good pollination because the different varieties cross pollinate each other. So with apples, you definitely have to have good pollination. And right below that at the trunk, I put a gooseberry. This is the first year. I got this one from Home Depot as well. So here's some more of the flowers just starting to pop out. They pop out in clusters. So you get a bunch at one time. The one in the middle I heard is the king bloom. And then walking back here, we're greeted by the Columbia Star Blackberry. I just put this in. It's a thornless, high yielding variety, it says. So I thought it would go pretty good to fit in this gap over here. It's already got some buds popping out, some lush growth. And this is the first year that I'm going to have it in the ground. That's a good sign. And then right this way, you're looking at the Fajoya plant, aka pineapple guava. It is an evergreen and it had all its leaves during winter, but now that spring sprung, it shed a lot of its leaves. I think so it can grow new ones. I think it's just part of the process. That's what I learned with evergreen plants. And then in this corner, this is kind of where I like to chill and hang out. I got a chair. It's kind of like a private area, even get some privacy from the neighbors. So it's great. I'll just come out here and sit down and relax and enjoy it. This one's a pink guava. It didn't like the summer too much last year. I just put it in. So it's going to make a comeback though. It's doing good. And then I got the blueberry plants over here, a couple of different varieties next to each other. They need to be pollinated, so you need two different varieties. This one right here, it has a lot of flowers everywhere. They come out in big old clusters. So I'm hoping that it'll get a lot of blueberries. Depends on the pollination. Over here, got more blackcurrant. The yellow pretty flowers, they actually last a long time. It's actually been going since, I want to say late February. And then as I pan out, here's the view from the chair. You get a great view of all the flowers here on the apples. And then when they turn into apples, it's going to look even cooler. Maybe like a decorated Christmas tree, I want to say, with the ornaments on it. All right, now stepping out of my little hidden spot here, you can see the rest of the backyard. To the right of that is all my pomegranate bushes, trees, I guess. I'm trying to keep it looking like a bush. It's two different varieties. One's white, one's red. Wonderful and Utah Sweet are the varieties. I try to make it look like one bush, which I think I did pretty good. They get a ton of pomegranates. And then over here, it's more like my desert section with succulents and this palm tree that I just put in. I love these succulent mixes. I saw them at Home Depot and they got a bunch of different varieties. They come in their own pots. So I took them out of their pots to put them in mine, the more decorative, bigger pots. And I put them in last year. So this is actually all the growth that they put on it in 1 year because they used to be like a third of this size. And they actually only get part sun over here. And since they did so good, I figured this year I would get some more and put it out in front of my house where it gets full sun. That's the hot evening sun, which a lot of plants can't take. So I did that and I'm curious to see how it's going to turn out this year. Now let's head over to the side of the house. This is the kind of chill, relaxing, tranquil part that I like to hang out at. I actually call it the chill out zone. Down here, some seedlings from the pollinator mix that I put down. They're actually coming out pretty good. It's been a couple months and they're still little, but we've had some unusually cold weather in California, so it's just starting to warm up, so I think they're gonna just start going crazy. This one's a pincushion flower. I just liked the way it looked, so I got it. Then next to that, we have the shamrock. I got this from my work on St. Patrick's Day, so I put it in. It had flowers all year round. Some more seedlings. This one's another salvia, just like the other one on the other side of the house. Some more of those seedlings down. And here's a Lambert cherry tree. It's a taller, slimmer cherry tree, so I thought it would be good right here so it wouldn't block in the entrance. But the buds are just barely coming out compared to the other cherry trees that have came out already. Here's where all my grapevines are, underneath this tunnel trellis. So this tunnel trellis, I got a few things growing on here, but the grapes pretty much take it over during the middle of the growing season when everything's fully growing. It'll just be covered. Then this is the black raspberry, goes all along the string lights back there. And then this one goes this way on the string lights. And then it also goes up in the middle and fills in the middle. So it pretty much goes everywhere. Here's all the green leaves coming out. Pretty soon the flowers are going to start coming out. I did get to try it last year and it tastes more like a candy than like a blackberry. So it's pretty interesting. Foxtail fern right there. And then let's start off on this grape. This one's a green Thompson grape. I kept it short because you're supposed to cane prune it, and basically the cane will come out and the grapes grow along that cane, so you want a big long cane growing out. And next to that is the red flame seedless grape. This one I pruned in a spur prune, so you just leave like 3 nodes on each cane that came out, and the grapes grow along those 3 nodes instead of leaving 1 cane where the grapes grow along like the whole cane. So that's the different style in pruning. This one is a golden chalice grape. This one's grown along this string light that I have here. A little companion planting with the white raspberry. It's a tight space, but I say try to fit it in there, and if it fits, hey, that's good, and if it doesn't, you could just take it out. And then taking a closer look at the white raspberry, it is pretty thorny, so I do have to wear gloves when I'm working with this. And I haven't got to try the fruit because it didn't really get good pollination last year. So I'm hoping I get to try it this year and see if it's worth the hassle. And then on the other side is a mulberry tree. It's more like a miniature version, so it shouldn't get too crazy, but it has gotten pretty tall, so I've had to prune it down on quite a bit so I could reach the fruit. Here's what the fruit looks like. It didn't really turn into anything last year, anything that was worth trying. So this year, it's the beginning of the spring and it's just coming out, so I'm hoping I'll be able to try those mulberries. And next to that, you have another mulberry tree. Just needed to fill in the space there. It's doing good. So as we pan out, you can kind of see the rest of the garden here. This is the sitting area. And that big tree in the back, that's my weeping plum tree. And these seedlings, they lead over to the Encore azalea over here. I needed something that was a little bit more heat tolerant and part shade. So these like the shade a lot, and the flowers keep growing all season long. That's why they're called Encore azaleas, because the flowers just keep on coming. Now back here, since I like to chill back here a lot, I put a lot of decorations like landscape rocks and statues and little frogs and stuff. So I think it just adds to it. Mulberry tree number 2. This is just a closer look at it. You could see the details better. And this one's getting some buds too. They look like little insects or something. And below that is another azalea bush. This one has red flowers. They're actually coming out already, so they're a lot bigger than I thought. since it was a little bush, I thought they would just be little flowers, but they happen to be huge, bright, beautiful flowers. And the flowers last a long time. And it keeps blooming all year round. So it's just a great plant to put back here, especially when you don't have a lot of sun. And this one's a sky flower. It gets real pretty, like veils of purple flowers. These little tiny purple flowers, there's strings of them. So it looks great. This one is a auburn fern. So I just thought it looks kind of cool, like a little bushy fern that kind of goes in all directions instead of the long, stringy kind of ferns. I thought that would be good for underneath the tree. Here's another azalea. This is the one's a red one too, but right now it's focusing on green growth instead of the flowers. Um, Got some landscape rocks there behind the plum tree. This one's the weeping Santa Rosa plum tree. It's really putting on a lot of green growth, and it's definitely the most vigorous tree in the garden. I did a whole video about it with more details on that if you want to check it out. But I'm going for that weeping look, and it looks like it's starting to get there. Here's what the little fruits look like. It kind of blends in with the rest of the tree, so you can't see them now. But when they get big and heavy, it'll start weighing down the branches, and that's when you really get that weeping look. And down here, we have the Korean rock fern. I really like the shape of the leaves. They look like big feathers shooting out everywhere. So I thought it looked pretty cool. I like ferns down here because it's a lot of shade and they do well in the shade. So this one is a bougainvillea. I have a tree and a vine back here. It went absolutely nuts with the green thorny growth last year because I think I gave it too much nitrogen. So this year I'm going to give it bloom fertilizer, and hopefully it'll get all of those bright pink pretty flowers that you usually see on bougainvillea. So I hope that works. And here goes the garden tortoise's home. His name is Torta. He's actually inside because it's been too cold. This one is a sword fern. It shoots out long leaves that get long like a sword. And it's like the typical ferns you see in a forest. So I thought it looks kind of cool. Give it that look back here. Kind of like a foresty look. And right next to that, we have half a wine barrel full of blueberry bushes. 3 different varieties in here. So it'll get good pollination. That's what blueberries really like. They like acidic soil, so it's good to put them in a big pot. This one has a lot of buds growing already. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a lot of blueberries from this. But this is the first year that I'm trying this, putting them all together in one big pot like this. So I'm hoping that it gives me a bigger harvest because last year it was so-so and the birds stole a lot of it. So I'm figuring as long as I keep it all right here, I could throw a cover over it if the birds become a problem. Something about those miniature waterfalls, I could just stare at it and be calmed down and relax. Now, this is from the seat where I like to chill. I could just stare at the fountain, the statues, look at all the plants, spin around in the chair just like this, observe it all. That's why I wanted a chair that could spin 360 because I knew there's going to be good stuff to look all around me. Here's my bald eagle. Lets me know I made it and I'm living the American dream. And here's a little succulent row. This is aloe vera. Been here a couple years. I haven't pruned it, so it looks a little scraggly. I do need to prune that. Here's cactuses and succulents. They look very cool. I just like the look of succulents. You know, they're very unique. Like this one looks like it has a mouth with teeth around it. These ones are just like little spiky. And here goes barrel cactuses. That one said it's a rainbow one, so it gets flowers that are supposed to be rainbow colored. And that's pretty much it. So thanks for taking the tour around my garden with me. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a little work to film this, and I think it's worth it to show it off and hope other people can appreciate it the way I do. So if you made it this long to the end of the video, thank you so much for your time.